What do the blacks want from the whites? What do you want from white people?
One, I can't, I can't
No, you
speak.
personally, what do you want from the whites?
I don't necessarily want anything from white people entirely. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about that at this point in my life. I think more about what I want out of life and what I want from all people, which is to heal and to be kind to each other and, don't hurt themselves, as I say in my book.
And when you say you don't want anything entitled from the white, do you want a little bit from the whites? What can they do for you a little bit?
What do you mean?
How can they make you feel better?
I'm going to need you to go a little deeper.
How can they enhance your self-image?
I feel great. My self-image is fantastic. I mean, look at me.
Don't you think, or do you think, it's a little odd? Oh, I want to, let me finish this and I'll get back to something else.
Absolutely. Take your time.
Do you think it's odd that the black people feel that white people somehow or another make them feel a certain way, has control over them, controlling them with the system? You don't think that's odd that one human being think that another human being has control over them?
It's not one human being and another human being. It is systemic. It
and
is
what do
not
you mean
about
by
one
systemic?
individual
Give me an
person.
example of systemic.
I think a really good example of something like that is the fact that the Crown Act, do you know what the Crown Act is?
No.
So it is an act that's now being put into law in several different states. It's, going state by state and being passed. It essentially says that you can't discriminate against people based on their hair type. That is a tool of white supremacy where people are actually not being hired for jobs that they're well qualified for because of their hair. For example, I have these braids in my hair. And there are a number of places in this country where people would look at me twice. I wouldn't be hired for a job. I would be out and out discriminated against, especially professionally, because of my hairstyle. And those are things that don't happen to white people and would likely never happen to white people. So that's one example, but there are many, and
white people
again,
don't
many
wear
books
their
on the subject.
hair all, I mean, they do nowadays, but they don't wear their hair all like that. They normally do their hair, they look professional at work. What's wrong with wanting a black employee to look professional?
I think that we can look professional with any hairstyle. I think
but
that
some of these hairstyles, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You think what now?
Oh, I was going to say, I think you can look professional with absolutely any hairstyle, and I think that professionalism is something that's made as a rule to uphold white supremacy. It's this idea that the only thing that's professional is what white people are able to do with their hair, as opposed to what the many things that black people are able to do with ours.
But you got to admit, since they passed the Crown, I know what you're talking about now.
They've only passed in a few states, to be fair. We've got a long way to go.
So some of these women, these black women hair look a mess. They don't comb it, it's just dry stuff up there. And they don't look like they just get out of bed, they wash their face, put on clothes. But their hair look a mess. Would you want someone working for you, they coming in with dry hair, just sitting up there and they haven't touched it? If you own a business, or would you want them coming in looking professional?
I think that most black women I know who are in professional environments take great care with themselves and with their grooming.
But not the hair, though. They don't seem to do anything about their hair.
They absolutely do.
Like your hair is neat.
That's part of the issue, though, is that, we're being chastised and discriminated against for the way that our hair looks as it grows out of our heads. I don't know if you've ever worked in an office with, women of other backgrounds, but they come in with their hair wet, dripping wet, like they just got out of the shower.
But that wouldn't look
That's
good
not
either.
necessarily professional either. You're right,
Right,
but they're not being discriminated against when it comes time to be hired for a job. They're not being called into the office and saying, hey, your hair is dripping wet. It looks like you just got out of the shower.
How do you know they're not?
Because if it were happening to them, I promise you there would be laws being passed to stop it, because that's how white supremacy works.
So if you own a business, you will be okay with your employees coming in just looking a mess in the head?
What does that mean, a mess in the head?
They comb their hair, it's dry, they didn't put oil on it or anything.
You know their hair is dry?
It look dry.
Well, I mean, no offense, Jesse, but should we be taking your hair advice? I don't know if you're so experienced in the subject, right?
What'd you say now?
I said, I don't know if we should be taking your advice on hair. No offense.
No, I know good. I know nice hair when I see it.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And these women used, in the good old days, when boys were boys and men were men, black women used to be, just amazing from the head to the toe, right?
Really?
Because they combed their hair, they took a bath, they dressed nice, and they presented themselves well. And as a result, they did very well in life. That's gone now. Why?
I can't. Again, you're asking me about things before I was born. I can't tell you. I wish I could.
But
I
don't
feel like
you
an
want to
old
go
soul,
back
but
to the good old days?
I don't know what those days were.
When black people were normal, you know, when they were not abnormal, but normal. They weren't marching and protesting, calling the white man white supremacy. They didn't believe that anyone was any better than them or less. Don't you want those kind of days back?
I can't speak to that. You know, I was born in
I
1990.
understand.
So if
Yeah,
that's
your
how you feel,
generation has been lied to. I totally understand it.
Our generation's been lied to about what?
About slavery, about Jim Crow, and about
What
everything.
are some of the lies we've been told?
That white people kept you down, white people are supremacies to you, that white people made you feel a certain way, and all that kind of. That wasn't like that. They lied to you.
Wow, okay.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. I don't know what you mean, but I'm interested in your perspective.